Hello, this is Joe Roche, President and CEO of the Roche Associates. And today, the video I'm going to go through is going to be talking about generating leads, capturing sales, and gaining move-ins during COVID-19 and its resurgence. So first, I'm going to talk about how you can generate more referrals from your residents and their family members. Now, how important is getting referrals? Margaret Wild, who is a nationally known researcher, has done quite a bit of work for NIC and the American Seniors Housing Association, has found that somewhere between 35 to 45% of your sales and movements can come from referrals, particularly during this period of time with respect to your assisted living and memory care communities. Let's talk about getting referrals from residents and their family members first. Now, the conversion rate for these leads is quite a bit higher than any other source. They can be anywhere from 2 to 4 times higher. Number one, if you don't have a resident reward program in place for referral, you need to implement that immediately. If you have one, you need to strengthen it. One of the things I would suggest that you consider during this period of time is many of you are already paying lead aggregators like A Place for a Mom, the equivalent of 1 month's rent, for that referral. Consider during this COVID-19 pandemic and its resurgence to pay an equal amount, even if you have to split it over, a few months. Now, the key to this is that this referral fee doesn't get paid until that person they refer to moves in and stays for at least 90 days. So beyond paying residents or giving them a benefit on their monthly rents for a period of time, what else can you do? What we found is that in some cases, residents are concerned about giving a referral in exchange for some type of reward. So a solution to that is to come up with a very strong program of interesting events, programs, and social activities that these friends and associates and neighbors of referrals can be invited to come out. The key is to have good programs in place, because even though they may not be willing to give you a referral on the basis of getting some type of reward, we have found that in multiple cases they would be willing to share the names. And in fact, I've personally done this myself in a number of communities and have been very successful in capturing anywhere on the low side 50 names, on the high side as many as 200, 250 names. So I know it works. Also, in having a resident give you a referral, it's important to spell out the process. Just don't assume it's going to happen. In a sense, you're going to sort of hold their hands. What we always recommend is when you ask them for these referrals, whether it's for a paid referral, whether for a friend to come to a program or event, you hand out a sheet for them to put the names, addresses, emails, and phone numbers of their friends. You go a step further and you offer to do the mailing. I'd recommend a postcard for that. And a handwritten postcard. These will have more of an effect than what looks like a promo piece coming from your community. And then the other thing you got to do is you got to make sure that calls are being made. If they're not calling, you've got to ask permission to be able to call them. Also, what you want to do is you want to recognize any of these residents that make a referral. If you have a newsletter, do a profile of them, take a picture of them, post it. Give them a 10 or 15 cards after they move in and says, I've just moved to my community. It's a great place. You've got to be able to find other ways to generate these referrals. With family members, we have found that the economic incentives can certainly play a part. But also when these people come to programs, we'll frequently ask them if they'd like to have other friends or associates or neighbors invited to a future presentation, they'll do so. Now, in terms of presentation topics, as everybody's aware, right, is that the wave of public interest right now is COVID-19. So any good topic pertaining to COVID-19 with somebody with a lot of credentials to present that program will generate a lot of interest. Also, with your residents, you can ask them what other organizations do they belong to, and see if you can get a connection, through them to come out and make a presentation to those organizations. In many cases, councils on aging are a good source for that. Retirement organizations, also a very good source for that. Last but not least, with residents, what you can do is host events at your community of organizations or clubs they belong to. One of the ideas that we came up with some years ago that paid huge dividends is that we joined, we had one of our marketing sales on-site people join a garden club. Now, who typically, joins garden clubs? As we know, the most important influencer in terms of senior living, assisted living, is usually a woman. It's usually the daughter or the daughter-in-law. We've had tremendous success with that. We had one of our on-site salespersons in Florida actually set up high teas. And every time she set up a high tea, she'd have anywhere from 25 to 40 people come out, mostly women. And each time she did that, she got 2 or 3 deposits thereafter. We had a nursing home client that had a great idea. And what that nursing home client did, he offered to host the annual luncheon for the women's club. Now, they did all the promotions. All he had to do was pick up a nice lunch. So you got to think out of the box. Let me just wrap up by talking about the success we've had during COVID-19 at the Roche Associates. From the period of April through November, we've actually hosted 28 on-site events and 10 webinars, which generated over 500 attendees. Most importantly, opened the door for hundreds of new sales, scores of deposits, and dozens of move-ins. The 2 COVID-19 programs we're recommending now, one is on how to stay healthy this winter, how to prevent the flu, pneumonia, the common cold, and most importantly, COVID-19. The second topic that we're rolling out now is COVID-19 resurgence update, which is going to cover ways to prevent and treat COVID-19, and also we'll go through in great detail what the plans are right now to the best of our knowledge of rolling out the vaccines. Now, it's important to understand in doing this, you need to have somebody that's very expert, okay? For that, for those programs, my wife, Dr. Joan Roche, who's a PhD, RN, and gerontological clinical specialist, and has spoken over the country, is actually the presenter of these programs. And we've had tremendous interest. We did one recently in Illinois, and it generated over 55 attendees to a live event that was held out in a tent. And right out of the gate, the first week, we got 2 deposits. And right now there's another 4 to 5 in the pipeline. So these programs will work, but you do need to have somebody with the type of expertise and credentials that can poignantly present the topic. So I'm going to close by saying, if anybody that's watching this video today would like to have a complimentary conference call with myself, Joe Roche, or Brian McKeever, my Vice President of Marketing and Sales, you can do so by going to our website, which will be posted here, or you can personally call me on my cell phone number, and that also will be posted. Wishing you a very good day, and hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel with these vaccines coming up.